welcome in Huntsville. Another wonderful good morning to you. Thanks for waking up with us. What do you love about Huntsville? What makes this a great place to be?
Everyone here is very genuine and very kind and friendly. You never hesitate to speak up and say hello or good morning or just acknowledge the person walking by.
The thing that I love most about Huntsville, I love the peace that Huntsville brings. I love the peace that it gives me.
I feel accepted and part of the town and like I belong here.
Huntsville is where my lovely wife lived when I met her, so I moved here. So I'm pretty thankful for her.
All right.
We're bucking for you in Huntsville, Texas.
Hello, I'm Billy Cobbin with Sam Houston Memorial Funeral Home.
Hey, it's Kay Boating with Tomorrow's Pros Montessori Schools.
Good morning, Huntsville.
Good morning.
Hey, I'm Karen.
I'm Toy.
And I'm Denise. And from all of us at Walker County Federal Credit Union, good morning, Huntsville.
And 3, 2, boom, there we are. Welcome in, everybody, as we get rolling on another edition of Good Morning Huntsville. It is a beautiful, beautiful Friday, a faithful Friday here this morning. And, boy, I tell you, we just want to say thank you to all of you who are joining us. Our friend Jamie Saucier is hanging out with us today in studio. Appreciate him. In fact, we crossed paths driving this morning, and he told me, he said, I knew that was a sign that I was supposed to come talk to you. So, and I never have my window down either. I didn't even tell Jamie that. I very rarely have my window down in my truck. And this morning, my window was down, his window was down, and we looked at each other, and he said, hey, I'm going to come by the show this morning. I want to talk to you. And I said, well, come on, brother. You're always welcome. So that is the friendliness of Huntsville. So my encouragement, little inspiration this morning, put your window down because you never know who you're going to get to talk to here in Huntsville. And it's always good, folks. Well, hey, we do want to welcome you in as we get rolling here on this wonderful, wonderful day. It is a faithful Friday. Normally, Billy Cawthon would be sitting here cutting up with me and having a good time, but unfortunately, there was some news this morning. I believe there was a pretty tragic accident out on Highway 75. I don't know the details, but Billy is in that line of business. Whenever things happen, he's there to support families, and I believe that he's going to be out today. He messaged me earlier and said he's probably going to get that call, and I'm assuming he did get that call because he wasn't here, and he had messaged me earlier, so I was already expecting that. Big thank you to Elliot Herzlich from Elliot's Jewelers. He's online at elliotsjewelers.com for all of your jewelry needs. Visit my good friend Elliot Herzlich. He'll take great care of you. We also want to give a shout-out, too, to Huntsville Memorial Hospital. They are here and taking care of Walker County for many, many years, many decades. And under Patrick Shannon's leadership, they have done some amazing things. They continue to grow and continue to serve this county with more and more resources. You can find them online. Just go to Google, search for Huntsville Memorial Hospital. You can find out more information about all the great things that Patrick and the staff over there are doing. They are our streaming sponsor. We could not be able to reach you through multiple platforms, including 3 or 4 different instances of Facebook. People like Clyde Law, who watch us every day on LinkedIn. We appreciate you, Clyde. Always love giving Clyde a shout, by the way. So we appreciate Clyde and his wife, Stacy, just wonderful folks here in our community. And we're also on Spirit Radio FM. If you're listening to the audio only, if you haven't downloaded our Spirit Radio app, you can go to spiritradio.fm, download the app, and that way you can just listen to the audio if you're on the go. And we're also on YouTube as well and other platforms. Again, that's all thanks to HMH for being our streaming sponsor. Hey, let us know that you're out there today. I know we talk about a lot of the same things over all these episodes as we get rolling on this episode 586. We are 14 episodes away, just a few short weeks away from episode number 600. So we'll have to do something special again. Maybe we'll have it over at the community room or somewhere out in the community. And we are due for a hometown spotlight. We used to do those once a quarter. We haven't had one in a while, so we'd like to bring the show on the road and host it somewhere. Hey, let me know that you're out there. I always enjoy interacting with our audience and like to give you a shout-out. And as you're waking up this morning, let us know what you're thankful for. Just like my good friend, our good friend here in Huntsville, Karen Denman, saying, good morning, hello, Huntsville family. I just love that. We are a family here. She said it's finally Friday. And her joke, we always used to joke around and say a non-mimosa Monday. Well, she said there may be some mimosas had this weekend. So there you go, Karen. I know that a lot of folks are having a good time right now in Honolulu as the Sam Houston Bearcats are set to play Hawaii. That game, by the way, because of the 5-hour difference, will get underway at 10 o'clock Central on Saturday night. It is Sam Houston on the road in Hawaii. It was funny how things pop up. Well, I guess you don't say on the road. I guess you say across the ocean in Hawaii. It's funny how memories pop up on your social media, and Facebook, I think, sometimes likes to remind me of the past, and some things of the past are good. There was a memory that popped up, I guess, from 2022 maybe. This was 3 years ago. It popped up on my Facebook, and I remember whenever Sam Houston had made the announcement that they were moving to Conference USA, and I was so thrilled about that because that means that Sam Houston would step up to now, of course, as an FBS program. And it was always a dream of mine to call sports for an FBS program. I'd worked so hard, and many of you know my story, and gave up a business of 14 years, and I felt like that was my life journey, and I won't go into the details. Y'all already know it. Y'all get bored with that. But anyways, it was just funny that memory popped up because the number one thing that I remember about all that is whenever Sam Houston announced that they would play Hawaii, and I remember telling Brian Adams, I told him, I was like, man, I'm so excited to get to go to Hawaii. That is going to be great. And it felt like it was so far away. But when you think of it, 3 years happens just like that. And, of course, in the months after that, there was a change, not there at the university, but where I was employed, and it just wasn't a good fit for me. And I moved on, not wanting to, but I had to do what was best for my family. And it was a difficult season. It was a hard season. It's a season sometimes it still comes back and reminds me of the past. And I've learned through this whole process that, man, you can't live in the past. If you live in the past, you're going to get hung up on things that bring up things that probably you shouldn't be hung up on. And what do I mean by that? I mean sometimes that we dwell so much in the things that we had before that we forget what God has in store. And I want you to think about that this morning, that we dwell on the things before that we forget what God has in store. So my encouragement this morning, I know many folks are going through a lot of things, whether it's loss and relationship, a family member, finances, who knows what you're going through. Everybody's going through something this morning, and everybody has a valid reason to be going through what they're going through. But I want to remind you of that, that when we look back to before, that we can't think about what God has in store. And he does have wonderful, great things in store for our life. And we have to look forward to that every day in faith. And it is. You have to look forward to it in faith. If you don't look forward to it in faith, then what are you looking for? I was just talking to a friend earlier, and it's tough whenever we have to go through situations, and I think a lot about legacy in life. And here's some inspiration this morning for you, not to be too deep on a Friday, but I really want you to listen to this. And I want to pause because I'm talking really fast. I want to slow down, and I want to pause this morning and talk about this. That think about, really be mindful. Mindful is a word that I've really started to think about a lot, that we have to be mindful about situations. We have to be mindful about where we're at. We have to be mindful about what we're doing. And this morning, I want you to be mindful about where your faith journey is. To do a reality check and say, where am I at in my faith? I think so many times we get wrapped up in this world, and Jason Bay and I talk about it every Thursday. That's why I love doing the shows on Thursdays as well. I love doing it every day, but especially Thursdays because we talk about this. But where are you at in your faith journey? I say that to myself. Where are you at? Are you waking up in prayer? Are you digging into God's Word? Are you studying His truth? Or are we just trying to study what we conceive to be the truth of this earth? And I'm going to tell you, friends, there's not a whole lot of truth to this earth. When we start seeking things in this world for temporary satisfaction, we never get fulfilled. How many times have you heard about people that have lived these miraculous, I don't want to say miraculous, but marvelous careers? What someone like you and me sitting back would look at and be like, wow, that guy was a movie star and he did all this and that. And then so many of these people that we perceive that all these great things have happened, you hear stories of the ones who aren't believers, and not saying this in a judgmental way, but you hear stories about when they come to that final moment. And what a blessing it is when we get to come to that final moment and know that that final moment is coming. I consider that a tremendous blessing because it gives us time to prepare. But you hear so many stories of folks that'll say, I wish that I would have came to the Lord sooner, or I wish I would have did more for the Lord. And I think a lot about that in life, that we get going so fast, and it's like we have our foot on the gas pedal. I know I do, man. I feel like I've got a lead leg, and that thing is stuck on an old 57 Chevy, and I can't move it off that gas pedal. But sometimes we just have to let off a little bit and be reminded of all the goodness that the Lord has given us. And that was on my heart this morning. As I woke up today and as I went to sleep last night, I was thinking about a lot of these things. And Jason and I had a great conversation here on this show yesterday, and I think it all relates together. So that's my challenge this morning for you is just ask yourself where you're at in your faith journey. I'm asking myself that same thing. I'm on staff here at First, but I think it's a good question that we should ask ourselves that every morning. Where am I at on my faith journey? Where am I at? Where am I at in my relationship with Christ? And I guarantee when you seek the Lord, the Word says that all these things are provided from Him. And so just seek Him. And whatever you're dealing with, it may not happen in 5 seconds. It may not happen in 5 minutes. It may not happen in 5 years. It may not even be 50 years. But I'm telling you, if you seek Him, that unto these all things will be given. And you will find peace. And you will find purpose. Because the Lord has given you that to find purpose in Him. So just a little something on my heart that I wanted to share with you this morning as we get rolling. And many of you, like Karen, chiming in today. Appreciate you. Jamie Saucier saying good morning, friends. I get to say good morning to him to his face. He's right in front of me this morning. So appreciate Jamie hanging out with us. Quentin Glaze chiming in with the footballs. And this ain't a sports show, but my goodness. I know many of you are Houston Texans fans, and that's fine. I understand we're an hour away from Houston. It's super easy to go down there and watch a game. I grew up in Austin, big Dallas fan, and for 29 years, I posted yesterday, I said, I've been saying it now for 29 years. This is our year. And I felt pretty good last night. How many of you watched the game? How many of you watched the Cowboys and the Eagles? Comment in. Let me know if you watched the game and who you may have been rooting for last night. I wanted to tell you that, of course, I was rooting for the Cowboys. Went over and we watched the game over at Pastor's house last night. And it was a really weird game because the Cowboys struck first. They were looking pretty good. But just like the days when Tony Romo used to play, and I was still am a huge Tony Romo fan. I think his career was shattered because of that defense that the Cowboys had. Same old. Defense couldn't stop the run. Jalen Hurts was throwing the ball all over the place. And we knew that it was going to come down. We were talking last night, and there were several of us over there. And I said, it's going to come down to the defense and who's going to be able to take the ball away. Well, what happens? Dallas is driving. They have an opportunity. I think this was still in the first half maybe. I can't remember. Everything turns into a blur. But anyways, they're driving. They have an opportunity. And what do? They fumble the ball. And who knows if they would have scored or not. I mean, the drive was looking impressive. Chances are they probably would have. They were doing really hot from the red zone as they got down close to it. So I started thinking about, man, this may be the opportunity. Then they fumble the ball. And it was sort of like right then all the the air just leaves the building. You just know that it's a phrase that I hear from someone all the time. Here we go again. Here we go again. And so, of course, Dallas goes on to lose. They played, as best as they could against the defending Super Bowl champs, but they lost 24-20 last night. The weird part about that game, there was a severe thunderstorm that came across the Philadelphia area, and so they actually had to delay that game about an hour. There was a hailstorm heading that way, severe thunderstorm, all the fans. And I wonder about if you're in a big venue like that, how do you find shelter quickly? And so the fans were crammed into every little nook and cranny that they could, trying to make sure that they weren't going to be out there in the elements. And that's a serious thing. I'm amazed at how many people – that's why I wish Billy was here with me this morning, because we could talk about this. I'm amazed at how many people are outside during a thunderstorm when there's lightning all over the place. It was just a few weeks ago. I went to pick up the children at Tomorrow's Promise. We love being there. They haven't been there much the last 2 weeks because my wife has been off work a little bit, and so she wants to understandably spend time with them at home and rest and be with them. But I'm there picking up the children, and it literally is a severe thunderstorm. And parents are getting out of their vehicles when lightning is bolting all around and picking up their children. And I don't know if people realize that the chances of getting struck by lightning are fairly remote. But the chances of getting struck by lightning, if you're in your vehicle or your home, are almost zero. So just stay in. You got to take it serious when there is a severe thunderstorm. And I'm still just blown away that people will be out. I saw a lady running one day on Veterans Memorial. She was running, and it was in the middle of a thunderstorm. And I'm just sitting there thinking, man, you people are just asking for it. I mean, I want to go home and see Jesus, but I don't want to go see him right now. I'm not going to go out in the middle of a thunderstorm and raise my hands up and ask for a lightning bolt to hit me. And that's basically what you're doing when you're outside in the middle of a thunderstorm. And a couple other little pet peeves of mine. It's a Friday rant. When there is a warning from the National Weather Service, that means that it is imminent, whatever is happening. It's either imminent or it's happening right now. There is a difference between a tornado watch and a tornado warning. A watch means conditions are favorable, that there is a chance, there is a good chance that within your area, within X amount of miles, that there could be a tornado. That's why the National Weather Service and the Storm Prediction Center up in Oklahoma issues a tornado watch. And they're getting pretty good about being able to predict potentially when and where these storms are going to form. They're not 100% there, but I'm going to tell you the technology is evolving at such a fast rate that they are getting really good at being able to pinpoint within 100 miles now of where some storms could hit. That's how good that they're getting. But when there is a watch, that means that you prepare, that you're mindful about it, that you know that something could happen. And so I want to encourage you this morning as we continue on through these final summer month. It's almost about to wrap up. Fall is right around the corner. Hurricane season is still in full force, even though we haven't seen too much of that. We could see some things over this next week early on as Hurricane Lorena now kind of stalled out around the Mexico coast, but from the Pacific is it still expected to eventually move into our area. There may be watches. There may be a flash flood watch, and that means be alert. Now, when a warning happens, that means that it is happening right now. It is either imminent or it is happening. What do I mean by imminent? When they say there's a tornado warning, that means one of two things. Most of the time, it means that the radar, they have indicated rotation. It's a radar-indicated rotation in the thunderstorm. Many of you have seen the Doppler radar, and it'll show the little cylinder that's spinning around. That's rotation. It's wind shear up in the thunderstorms. Or the second reason that the National Weather Service will issue a tornado warning is because a trained storm spotter has called the Weather Service and said, man, I'm right here, and that thing's right there. If there is a funnel cloud, if there is spinning up in the sky, and a storm spotter sees that, they will call the Weather Service. The Weather Service will issue the warning. And what does that mean? That means, buddy, you better get out of Dodge. That means if you got a safe place to go, you better get in the lowest level of your home. And I'm going to say this, and this is, I don't want this to ever come back and bite me if somebody ever got hurt. But there's enough, most of the time, enough advanced warning now that you got time to get out of the way. And I don't know about you guys, but on May the 27th, 97, one of the most devastating storms to ever hit the United States happened 10 miles north of where I grew up. And it was in Gerald, Texas. And that tornado took the lives, tragically, of 27 people in a single neighborhood. And tornadoes typically, I was reading a stat that even an F5 storm, as it comes across, maybe 5 to 7% of people will lose their lives within the area of that tornado. This one tragically took almost 78% of the people that it passed through. That's how devastating the storm was. And I'll never forget that day, everything that happened on that day, and I've talked about it before on this show a couple of times. But I'll tell you what, there was a little bit of warning, but not as much as there is now. But if there is a storm like that coming, you better pack up and get out as quickly as possible. And somebody had once said, Rob, that's the worst advice you can give somebody. There was a meteorologist, Bob Moore, up in Moore, Oklahoma. And Moore, Oklahoma has had tragic tornadoes year after year, F5 tornadoes, going back to the 90s. 99, they had a bad one. 03, they had a bad one. I think it was 2013, they had another bad one. These are monster F5s, all of them, that hit that community of Moore, Oklahoma. We went up there in 2013 after 2012, I think it was, after that tragic storm. The terrible news of that storm is it went through Plaza Towers Elementary School, and a lot of innocent children lost their lives in that storm. I'll never forget being up there and the weight of that community. You could feel it on your own shoulders. But the meteorologist there in Oklahoma City for Channel 4 television had told people that if he showed it on the radar, and that gentleman alone saved so many lives because they knew that that storm was coming. I think it started out in like Reno, Oklahoma, started to move on a northeast path, as most storms do. Most tornadoes move on a northeast trajectory. And he told people, there's a street there, Santa Fe Street, and he showed it on the radar. He showed where that tornado was, and you could see what's called the debris ball. That tornado was so evident on radar because it was so massive and there was so much destruction that you could literally see the debris on the Doppler radar. And he told folks on air, live, he said, if you are from this line east of Santa Fe Street, get out now. He said, quit listening to me, get in your car, and immediately drive south right now. And he was very direct with people. Bob said, if you don't leave your home now, if you don't have a basement in your home, you will not survive this storm. Now, that is not what you tell people, or traditionally what you don't tell people during storms. But because of that, hundreds of people left their homes and went south, and they credited that meteorologist for saving their lives. Because when those people returned to their neighborhoods, guess what they returned to? Nothing. Slabs. Those houses, many of them didn't have basements. We were there. We were there 2 days after cleaning up. And I remember distinctively one of the homes that we were cleaning up, there was nothing on that basement except a safe that had been bolted to the concrete foundation. Everything else was gone. These were not trailer homes. These were framed homes that were secured to the foundation, but they weren't secure enough for that storm to rip them out of the ground and completely demolish them. You couldn't even see where stuff was. And because of Bob telling people, get out, many people's lives were saved. And so my encouragement, I don't even know why I started thinking all that. I just started thinking about weather for some reason. Maybe I dreamed about it last night. But just be vigilant whenever you hear about these weather warnings, because you never know what's going to happen. But there is enough advanced technology now, and I believe there is enough warning in most cases that you can make the decision. I'm going to get out of my home, or I'm going to try to ride this one out. Everybody has one of these in their pocket now. Everybody. Most of the world has these. There's 8 billion people on Earth, and there's 6 billion high-definition devices that we carry literally surgically attached to our hip all day long. Now, if you're old school, you got it out on your belt. I don't know if you remember this, Jamie, did you ever have this? You had the big belt clip. Jamie didn't have it. See, that's a sign of a good man. because the boastful man always had to have that thing on his belt where it stuck way out. And then he'd have the ringer turned all the way up so everybody knew that he was getting called. Oh, and then he'd talk really loud. Hey, how you doing? Like you're in the middle of, you're in a grocery store. How many of you remember this? You're in a grocery store. Here's the guy that had that big old, back in the day too, is the Blackberries, and before that was the Nokia phone. Those things had loud, annoying ringers. But man, they had that sucker on that belt loop just protruding out. And they'd make sure it was seen too. A lot of them would tuck in their shirts, and the other part of the shirt would be untucked. But boy, that phone was right there on that hip. And they'd answer that thing in the middle of HEB. Hey, Tom, how you doing? Good to hear from you. And then they would look around and make sure that everybody knew that they were on their phone. Because, man, brother, back in the day, it was a big deal if you had a cell phone. But everybody's got one now, pretty much. And we get alerts on these things. There's been several times on my phone that I have been sent a tornado emergency from the areas that I was in. And that an emergency is even more serious. An emergency means this is the real deal. You're in the path. That's how the technology's gotten so good now that they can pinpoint based on geolocation and what the National Weather Service sends out on your phone. If you see tornado emergency, that means that there's something devastating about to happen, and you better figure out a way to get out of it. And that's what they declared in Moore, Oklahoma in 2013. A tornado emergency was declared. Not a warning, but an emergency. And so, with all of that said, we have these devices. Utilize them for good and heed the alerts. Don't turn off. There's a way to turn off the emergency notifications. I know we all get. That's another thing. We have became, and I'm guilty of this. I say a lot of things, and I'm not going to sit here and say things about stuff that I'm guilty of this. We have become so numb to what we see because we see so much. We dismiss a lot of things, not intentionally, but just subconsciously because we hear of so much. We see of so much. How many of us get Amber Alerts on our phone? Every day it seems like there's one. One of the most prevalent ones that I ever remember, I was at a San Antonio Spurs game. It was 18,500 people packing the AT&T Center. And I'll never forget, there's an Amber Alert. Everybody's phone in that whole arena went off in the middle of the game. But we hear those so much that we've become dismissive of them. We really have. I'll be honest, when I'll be talking to somebody, you know what I do? My hand's in my pocket, my phone, and I'll just hit this button right here, and it just cuts it off so I don't have to hear it. The reality is that that's somebody's child that's missing. They put those out because there's a child that's been abducted. There's something that's happening. And so we do live in this world of dings, pings, notifications, whatever you want to call them. But make sure that you at least look at it. And if you're a believer, I want to encourage you, take it a step further and pray in that moment. Pray in that moment. When that Amber Alert comes across your phone, pause what you're doing and pray. And pray that child will be found. That's somebody's baby out there that's somebody has taken. And I'm saying this to myself this morning because that's just a reality that just hit me, that I receive those all the time, and I dismiss them every single time. That next alert could be the alert that saves your life. There could be something that's going on that's very serious, a tornado emergency. Who knows what could happen? Don't be dismissive of the warnings in life. And I think tying this into a whole inspirational type segment, we have to think about the warnings that the Lord gives us in life. There are so many things that we come across every day that could be a warning that I think we dismiss. And be mindful of that. Be mindful of that. I think that God's word is full of so many warnings, not just to scare us, but because he loves us too much to leave us blind to danger. I'm guilty of being blind to danger all the time. We think of people like Noah in the Bible. People laughed at him as he built the ark, and the warning had gone out. That was the warning. There was the biggest warning in history. Here's this guy in the middle of nowhere building this massive ark. It's a warning that God had sent to the people. But it was also a message of love that he was going to protect Noah and his family because they were faithful. The rain started to fall. There's another warning, but then that warning became a reality. Jesus also gave us many clear warnings, one of them in Matthew. It was the parable of the wise and the foolish builder. We all know the story. The wise man built his house on rock. The foolish man built his house on the sand. And when the storm came to both, the difference was one who listened and acted upon what the Lord was saying. And Jesus said this plainly. This is in Matthew 7. Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on rock. And so I'll take a break here in a moment, but warnings, they're not to dismiss. They're God's mercy, and he warns us about sin because he knows its wages and death. I had somebody the other day say, Rob, why does sickness happen? No, why did my mother get cancer? Why did that child pass away? And I'm so thankful for Jason Bay here at First, because he explained it in such a simple way that I've been around a lot of great pastors, wonderful people, many mentors in my life, but no one ever explained it so clearly. Because of sin. Just a simple thing, just a simple sentence, but with so much weight. Because of sin. Because of sin. Because the wages of sin are death. That's why we have sickness. That's why we have cancer. That's why we have people passing away. Just like Billy this morning gets a call, Highway 75. Somebody woke up this morning, driving maybe to or from work, not knowing that this was their last day. And Billy gets the call and has to serve the family. That happened because of sin. Not necessarily because of that person's individual sin, but because of sin in general. Because sin came when man sinned against God early on and ate the forbidden fruit. That's what set us up for failure. But the answer is Jesus Christ. The Lord warns us about others, those that come to seek, kill, and destroy, such as Satan. He warns us about the enemy because he knows that Satan prowls like a roaring lion, seeking whomever he may devour. And so my question this morning, too, as we continue on, is will you take his word seriously? Or will we shrug it off until it's too late? Hebrews 2:1 says, Therefore we must give the more earnest heed to the things we have heard, lest we drift away. And so think about that this morning as I wrap all this up together. We went from being mindful to storms to warnings, and now we're tying it all back together. Be mindful about your faith journey today, and don't shrug things off, friends, because one day it may be too late. We'll take a brief break. Many of you are joining us. We got some events that we want to talk about here in just a few moments. One very important event that's coming up, and tomorrow morning, in fact, and we appreciate our friend for bringing that to our attention. What is it? Well, we'll tell you whenever we come back. We'll step aside, take a break. As always, we are here on a very faithful Friday. It's brought to you by Sam Houston Memorial Funeral Home, our family serving yours since 2002. Stay with us as we continue on. Do me a favor during the break. Let me know you're out there. I'd love to give you a shout out when we come back. It's your show. This is Good Morning Huntsville. We'll be right back after this.
Hi, I'm Billy Cawthon, manager of Sam Houston Memorial Funeral Home. We know times of loss are tough, and you need a place to feel comfortable and cared for. At Sam Houston Memorial Funeral Home, we pride ourselves on being with you during those really tough days. You can rest assured that we will be on your side and by your side every step of the way. Thank you for your trust. Sam Houston Memorial Funeral Home, supporting families every day, every step.
This is Guardian Defense in Huntsville, Texas, a trusted family-owned and operated gun store and range in the heart of East Texas. Guardian Defense is your one-stop destination for Texas LTC, NRA basic pistol and rifle courses, pistol refresher training, as well as a wide selection of quality firearms and ammunition. At Guardian Defense, empowerment is within reach through their Texas DPS-approved license to carry classes. Certified instructors will guide you through every facet of firearm safety, conflict resolution, and the pertinent legal aspects. Book now to become proficient and responsible in handling a firearm with complete confidence. For the eager learners, the fundamentals of pistol and rifle usage await discovery in their comprehensive 8-hour NRA basic courses. You're invited to connect with Guardian Defense on Facebook and Instagram or give them a call at 936-293-0364. You can also visit them online at guardiandefensellc.com. Guardian Defense, your reliable partner in mastering firearm safety and acquiring quality firearms in the heart of Texas.
Imagine a voice of hope reaching every corner of Huntsville, from homes and hospitals to prison walls. That's the heart of Spirit Radio. We're a truly local 501c3 nonprofit, and we're raising $25,000 to build our tower and get on the air. With your help, we'll broadcast encouragement, truth, and the love of Christ across our community and across the world through the Spirit Radio FM app. Visit spiritradio.fm and give today. Let's bring light to Huntsville and beyond together.
The church should be transformational. And maybe you've never been to church, or maybe life has left you feeling lost, but Jesus says, "Come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." At First Baptist Church Huntsville, a harbor of hope, we're not trying to fit in with the world. We're here to help you step into something greater, a fresh start, a new life in Christ. Join us this Sunday at 10:45 and see what God can do in your life. Visit fbchuntsville.org. Hope is here, and we're saving a seat just for you.
Loving Jesus, loving people side by side. In this harbor of hope, we are safe inside.
This is Billy Cawthon of Sam Houston Memorial Funeral Home, and you're listening to Spirit Radio, the spirit of Huntsville.
This is KHSP-LP, Huntsville, Texas, the spirit of Huntsville.
All right, friends, back at it now. Time is 8:16 a.m. Big thank you to Sam Houston Memorial Funeral Home, your hometown experts, celebrating life and serving this community since 2002. I'm grateful to Sam Houston Memorial Funeral Home. I had a privilege, and it was an honor to help a family this past Saturday as they were dealing with loss, and they had asked me to come and officiate a funeral service, and got to know the family. And I'm very thankful. That is a privilege, honestly. It's a privilege to serve people. And Sam Houston Memorial Funeral Home, in my opinion, they do it better than nobody else in this area. Billy's usually here with me on a Friday, and just as it would be, he got a call this morning and is taking care of a family who's going through something that nobody would have thought of this morning, that they wouldn't have thought of, obviously, with the car accident and something happening. So, friends, when that time comes, and it's all going to come to all of us, I want you to remember Sam Houston Memorial Funeral Home. They're hometown, committed, local, serving this community for many, many years, and they're here to take care of you. Well, hey, as we look real quick at our weather here on this Faithful Friday, brought to you by Sam Houston Memorial Funeral Home. How about it when you walked out the door this morning, man? Mac, I've been waking up like 2, 3 a.m. My dog needs out now. He's on prednisone. I bumped him up to a pill and a half, and you know, he's doing, I appreciate it. I know some of you are praying for us and our dog, and I appreciate that because, you know, we pray for people all the time, but we can pray for pets. And the Lord has extended our golden retriever's life more than we thought, to be honest. You know, I made a post about a week ago that said, I know that time's coming really soon. And I was pretty bummed out. And then we go to the vet, and the vet says, well, I wouldn't put him down just yet. He's still fine. He's still doing all the things that dogs do. And the tumor had gotten massive. I mean, this thing grew like wildfire. You know, we just had this 4 months ago, too, and it was a miracle then. I'm not ever going to go back and say it wasn't a miracle, what the Lord did, because, you know, this thing was massive then, and the vet said, we can't operate it. We went to the emergency clinic down in Spring. They're at Blue Pearl. They're great. I mean, but I'm surprised I still have my limbs because it's not cheap. But they did great work, and they got that tumor out. We prayed. We asked the Lord. We said, Lord, please let this one be a small one, that a low grade. Well, it came back low grade when they all said it was going to be high grade. And they gave him a great prognosis. They said he could probably go on another year or two. But they did say this. They said, but there's a very high chance that another one will pop up. Well, it did 4 months later. and this little booger's massive. And his leg, here's the kicker. His legs, it was swollen up, probably as big as this bottle when we took him in to the vet. And I guess that's called edema or something like that. It's where the fluid starts to go to the bottom of the leg. And it happens to us as we get older too, especially folks who are dealing with diabetes and those things. I've heard of this numerous times. But you know what's funny? It's not funny. We've been praying for him, and his leg is back to normal, and that tumor has shrunk a little bit, and it's still big, but it's not hard as a rock, and it has actually shrunk, and his leg is no longer swollen. And I thought, the vet kept telling me, he said his leg's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger, and then when he can't walk anymore, that's when you're going to have to make that tough decision. Well, his leg ain't swollen at all anymore. And I put him on this. We've been praying for him every night. We put our hands on him. We pray over him. And it's been to me as a dad, it's been a joyful thing. And I know that may seem kind of weird to say it's joyful that my dog is going through this. And so, he's not suffering yet. But it's been joyful because the Lord uses anything and everything to glorify him. I mean that, anything and everything, even your pets. And it's been a teachable moment for me as a dad to teach my little girl how to pray. And we pray every night, but now here's something that she can physically see. She knows that he's sick, that our dog is sick. She knows. And we get to spend time praying over him each night now. And my little girl lay her hand on him and pray for him. And as a dad, that brings me so much joy. And so I'm thankful for that. That we get to come together as a family and pray and glorify God through our dog, who is sick of all things. And he is doing better. I have him on this new stuff. It's the vet told me we're going to up his prednisone to 1.5 pills, and then I'm giving him 4 Benadryl a day. And I've been doing that for a while, but that's working. And then I found something on Amazon. I'm not a vet, so don't sit here and take my advice on this. But somebody had called me and said, you need to give him turkey mushrooms. I said, that sounds like something that ain't illegal. That's not legal in the state of Texas. But it's legal. It's nothing like that. And so we started giving them these turkey mushroom supplements. And I made a comment on the show earlier this week. My daughter likes to color with highlighters. And for the life of me, I thought that she had got highlighter all over these chairs or the table or my phone or something, because my fingertips have been this yellowish color, like a highlighter, like a neon yellow color. And they've been like that all week. And they're like it this morning, and it's hard to get it off. And I started thinking, you know what's causing my fingers to do that? I finally figured it out yesterday. The mystery has been solved. It's that turkey mushroom that I'm giving my dogs and that I'm giving Mac in the morning. I stuff his medicine in there and I push them together, and that's what's causing my fingers to have this yellow glow to them. So whatever it is, it's obviously working, and I think first and foremost it's the power of prayer through all things. And I know that he doesn't have much time, but we're going to enjoy every moment we have with him. His tumor opened up. This happened after we took him to the vet. And that's been a significant challenge because we're having to and my wife has been so good about it too. She's having to change his bandage, and we spray this. Jason Thompson's been great. He told us about something called AluShield. It's used on equine a lot. It's to help, and it's like foil. It's the neatest thing. It's silver. Looks like foil though. It looks like you spray it and it looks like foil. You spray it over a wound, and it's almost like a Band-Aid for the wound. It's called AluShield. They sell it over at Tractor Supply, and it doesn't harm at all. In fact, it's really good for wounds. And it's not a scratch. Obviously, with the wound, it opened up because of his tumor, and he hasn't had any issues with that thing not being gross, but leaking or anything like that anymore. And then we put a little Neosporin around it. We've got some abdominal pads that we put on, 2-inch wide, like a bandage that we wrap around it. I forget what that stuff's called. But he's doing good. He's doing good. The only thing is he tries to chew that stuff off, and we got one of those neck thing. I didn't want to get one of those plastic ones where he's banging his head all over the wall. I don't want my dog to have to live like that. And so I got one of the air ones that you blow up and it goes around his neck. Well, man, he figured out in 5 minutes how to get that thing off. And even if you attach it, they'll puncture through it. He's smart. And of all the things that have worked, I started putting a T-shirt over him. I just put him in a T-shirt. And that's been pretty good. It's kind of deterring him from biting at those bandages. But he did manage to get the T-shirt lifted up. and that created more problems. So we got on Amazon again and looked, and they actually have a kind of a bodysuit that's designed for dogs with wounds and bandages. And so we put that over him. It's really cute. It's got a little hole for the tail. So you pull his tail through the back of the hole. But the problem is, with him being on prednisone, he's got to go out all the time. Well, and who lets him out? Me. I get up in the middle of the night and have to let him out, and he wants out a couple of times a night. And it's understandable, when you're taking that steroid medicine, even as humans, that's what it does to you. But here's the kicker. That little shirt buttons up on him, so I've got to unbutton the shirt, and I've got to roll it up his body, because I didn't think about leaving any little holes for other things. And so I've got to roll that shirt up and make sure that it's not drooping down too low, because you know what'll happen if a dog's going to the bathroom and he's got the shirt and it's too low. It's easy to figure that out. And so that's been the fun routine now that we are in. But I'll tell you what, man, your pets are part of your family, and you'll do anything that you can to keep them feeling good. And we know I'm not one that's going to drag out something that doesn't need to be drug out. But he's still happy. He's still trying to run. He's still wagging his tail. He's still the same Mac. It's just he's got a lump on his side that's opened up, and that's what it is right now. But I wanted to mention all that because I wanted to say thank you all for your prayers and just for being so supportive for this time, because it's it's not easy. It's not easy to lose a loved one. It's not easy to lose a pet, and these are all just things that happen in life. But we've learned to find joy through the circumstance. Hey, as you're up this morning, I got on this tangent about Mac. It is 77 degrees. That's why, because I mentioned it was a nice morning outside. I let him out. It's cool this morning, cool and crisp. But right now, 77 degrees, 96% humidity. Today, it's going to be 94 and sunny. Tonight, 75. Rain back in the forecast, although it has tapered off a little bit over the weekend. We'll get started about a 20% chance of rain throughout the day. Tomorrow, a high of only 89. And then a little bit of a cool front for your Sunday. How about this? 85 and a 50% chance of showers as that tropical disturbance is predicted to move its way across Mexico into Texas. That is a quick look at your weather. And again, one other thing that we're going to keep our eye on out there in the Atlantic right now, there is a tropical disturbance. We've been following this thing for several days, now at a 90% chance of forming into a tropical system. This right now is still way out of the way of the United States. But the path does have it heading potentially into the Gulf of Mexico. It's still very, very far to determine that, but this system is slowly moving to the west-northwest and is expected to make a slight curve, and that cone of uncertainty right now is pointing it towards the Gulf of Mexico. So here in the next week, we could be here a week from today talking about this as a hurricane somewhere headed towards the United States. We hope not. We haven't had much this year, but that is how things are looking in the tropics. I mentioned earlier Jamie Saucier is here with us. Jamie's got a very distinctive beard. Many of you have wonderful, distinctive beards. But it was on this date that the bearded men would not like. In 1698, Russia's Peter the Great wasn't very great to folks who had beards. And he imposed a tax on beards with the hope of, quote, this is a joke, making Russia clean-shaven again. 1698, Russia wanted to tax the beards. And I don't know if it was I don't know why. I have no idea why you'd want to tax somebody with a beard. But I immediately thought of Jamie when I saw this morning, and I thought of those guys at Duck Dynasty. And they would have made Peter the Great a very rich man with those beards. From what I heard, though, the measure only passed by a whisker. This is so dumb. That's really bad. And then the peasants there renamed him from Peter the Great to Peter not so great as we first thought. So there's your little fact today. It was on this date in 1774. Check this out. The First Continental Congress assembled in Philadelphia. It always seems like we're talking about something about the United States being formed on this day in history. you can only imagine what they had. That's where the Continental Breakfast came from, by the way. So the Continental Congress back in the day. 1793, the Reign of Terror began during the French Revolution, sending thousands of people to their deaths on the guillotine. France was very divided on this. And, I mean, you think about that. You know, we hear of war nowadays and how terrible it is, but my goodness, back in the day, the brutality of how people were put to death. You think about the Roman civilization and when they had the Colosseum and the gladiators. And I was reading something about this yesterday. They didn't want the gladiators to fight to death. They wanted them to fight to the brink of death, because if they died, then it was just like, he's dead. But if it was to the brink of death, that created a storyline of saying, man, this guy almost died and he's back and he's fighting more. I was reading this whole article. I got wrapped up in it yesterday. I never thought about that because we always perceive it as fighting to the death. But the reality was, and the research shows, that they really didn't want them to fight all the way to the death. They did want them to get to the brink of death. I just don't know how that could be entertaining. But that was the culture back then, that people would gather in this massive coliseum and watch people fight lions and fight each other. And I'll just say, you know, when you look back, and sometimes people are like, we got a long way to go. Yeah, we still have a ways to go, but my goodness, we sure have came a long way too. We don't have a coliseum here in Huntsville where people are throwing people in the middle of it saying fight to the death. It was on this date check this out. This is a good one. This relates to us here in East Texas. It was on this date in 1836. Sam Houston was elected president of the Republic of Texas. So there you go. That's your Sam Houston history this morning. It was on this date in 1882. Thousands of people marched through the streets of New York. It was the very first ever Labor Day parade. We had Labor Day on Monday. They gave off their day to honor the days they don't have off back then. So here's what it says. It says, yep, they gave up their day off to honor the days they don't have off so they could work towards better conditions for workers and give them more days to be non-working workers. That's really confusing. I'm confused by that as well. Here's another cool one. It was on this date in 1885. The very first gasoline pump was delivered to a gas station. Wonder how they got the gas to get to the gas station. They didn't have the pump. But it was 1885. Very first gasoline pump delivered to a gas station. The only thing they needed was someone to invent the car. That was the only thing they were missing out on then. And it was also, this is pretty cool, on this date in 1982, the Texan set the speed boat record at 229 miles per hour. Can you imagine being in a boat on the water at 229 miles per hour? Think about how impressive that is. Think about, 1982, right? The guy that he had behind him on that speedboat, he's still out there skiing somewhere. He's still out there. They haven't found him yet. They can't slow him down. Today, by the way, it's National Be Late for Something Day today. So it's a good day for many of you. National Be Late. It's also National Cheese Pizza Day and National Another Look Unlimited Day. I don't know what that one is, but I thought that was pretty cool there, that it is National Be Late for Something Day. Going along with that, 20% of us are late for work at least once a week. I'm just laughing because mine's a little bit higher than that. In addition, 10% admitted that they are late at least twice a week. And according to a recent Harris poll for CareerBuilder.com, here's some of the most common excuses for being late. Can you guess what any of them are? I want you as the audience, chime in this morning, text in. We have a lot of people that are commenting in. Let us know what are some of the biggest reasons for being late. I'm going to head over to my personal feed because I don't get to see those comments. A lot of you are joining us there as well. Appreciate all of you for hopping on the feeds this morning. Let me switch over just to see some of the, there's a lot of comments there, so I apologize for that. Good morning to you, Miss Thompson. Lita Thompson joining us this morning. Again, I'm just letting this hang here and delay for a minute. What are some of the most common excuses for being late? There's 6 of them that are listed here. And these are pretty common. And I fall victim to a couple of these. Number 1, traffic. I don't think we have to worry about traffic for being late here in Huntsville. I really don't. You can tell me why we should have to worry about that, but I've never been late to something in Huntsville because of traffic. I know that it can get crazy with the students back, but traffic, the number one reason. Number two, this is a big one. I've been a victim of this, lack of sleep. Number three, this is the one that I always go back to, getting the children ready for school or childcare. Yes, that's my number one. Number four, problems with public transportation. We don't really have that here, so we don't have to worry about that. Number five, this is my daughter, wardrobe issues. That's another one. And then number six, dealing with pets. Dealing with pets, the top reasons for being late for something. Kyle Kreiner, here's what he said. Train, the train, traffic, kids, overslept. That's his four. Train, traffic, kids, overslept is his four for being late. My sister had, and Romy, hey, Romy, good to see you this morning. Romy Salinas joined. Romy, I sure do love you. It's so good to see you on the feed this morning. She is back in Georgetown. I had an opportunity to do their IT work back in the day. Texas Trucking. What a great company and just a great, great family over there. She said stuck in traffic. She is right. And then my sister said there's a wreck on I-35 with backed up traffic. You know, we haven't seen too many backups on I-45 through this area, but when they happen, we notice them big time. But I grew up in the Austin area, and it was every 15 minutes there was something. And that I-35 is really, at the time, was the only major artery to get through the city. And now they have 130, which is a toll road. They have Mopac. They have 183. But Austin didn't do it. I'm going to put them out here this morning. Austin did not do a good job designing their city. They really didn't. They didn't think about the massive growth that they were going to have. And you've got to plan for these things. I know it's hard to sometimes. But towns who did think about this, and you guys can disagree with this one, I've never had any major, huge issues driving through Houston. I mean, yeah, there's going to be some traffic backed up, but it's nothing. And I guess I'm comparing it to what we had to deal with in Austin all the time. Houston was smart. They built loops around the city. San Antonio, boy, that's one of the best cities when it comes to traffic. They did it right from the get-go. And I used to drive down to San Antonio a ton. I'm a huge Spurs fan. Back in the day, I was blessed to have season tickets. We'd go down to the Spurs games all the time, and I just loved going to San Antonio. It could be 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I'd never have issues driving in San Antonio because they had I-35, but they had elevated road. See, Austin did the elevated thing, but they did it wrong. It's terrible. San Antonio, they elevated it. That made it easy to get through. They've got I-10, another major highway going through there. I think they've even got another highway. They've got 1604, which is a loop that goes around. That's the outer loop of San Antonio. The inner loop is 410. And those are just 4 or 5 major roadways of many that they built in San Antonio. I think we have to be mindful here in Huntsville that the growth is coming and that our major feed through Huntsville is I-45. And I know there's a lot of controversy about toll roads and other roads coming in. I think we do have to evaluate that, but eventually there's going to be a need for another highway somewhere. And more than likely it's going to be somewhere close to this area because of the proximity. We are in a hot spot. Just like Georgetown, where I grew up, we were in a hot spot between San Antonio and Dallas. Well, guess what Huntsville's in a hot spot between? Houston and Dallas. And eventually all that is going to culminate, and people are going to want to continue to move here. And I think it's why it's important. We got great leaders like Russell Humphrey, many others that are planning ahead. A couple of final things this morning. This was one that I saw yesterday. Raise your hand if you know Denzel Washington, or you know of the name Denzel Washington. Everybody knows Denzel Washington. Great actor. I love his movies. Well, he told Jimmy Kimmel recently that his name is not pronounced Denzel. Everyone's been saying it wrong. He straight up told him, he goes, my name is pronounced Denzel. Denzel. D-E-N-Z-I-L is how you pronounce it. Denzel. And he said that everyone has said his name wrong his whole life, and so he just goes with it. So it's actually Denzel Washington. That one kind of hit me yesterday because I've always said Denzel because that's the way I've always heard it. But Denzel Washington. How about this? No winner yet in the Powerball. meaning tomorrow night's drawing, is that tonight? Is the Powerball tonight? Is it a Friday night? I don't know. I don't do that stuff. But this is one of those times where you may just, if you spend $1 on a candy bar, what's the deal about spending $1 on a Powerball ticket? $1.7 billion. Good night. The take-home has got to be $1 billion now. Still no winner. I think this bad boy it's got to be the highest it's been. $1.7 billion. I'm going to tell you this. If you win that thing, you're going to have friends come out of the woodworks that you don't even remember. You're going to have the guy that you cross paths with buying a hot dog at a football game or a baseball game that you don't even remember. He's going to call you. He's going to spend time looking you up. Hey, man, you remember that time we were talking at the line at the baseball stadium at the Astros game and you bought a hot dog in front of you? Remember that? No, I have no idea who you are. They're going to come out of the woodworks. $1.7 billion Powerball. My goodness. Some good news. If you're looking to buy a home, the average rate of a 30-year mortgage has now dropped to 6.5%. That's really good news as well. And so I think that is pretty cool. A couple of other things here. Many of us have accounts like a Netflix or a Hulu, and we share that account with others. Well, Amazon has kind of a similar thing, but as of October the 1st, Amazon ending their program that allows members of its Prime membership subscription program to share their free shipping benefits with people who don't have the same primary address. Wow. So, I'm starting to think about this because I order products for people, and I don't know if this is going to affect me. But there are times that I order products for people that I change the shipping address to their name. And I'm wondering if that's what this is in reference to. Because I do that quite frequently. So-and-so will call and say, hey, man, I need to get this for my broadcast or whatever. He may live in San Antonio. So I'll order it for him. He'll send me and he does it because I have the Prime. And because our business, we resell equipment too. And so there's no tax on a lot of it because we resell it. And I'm wondering if I'm not going to be able to change his name anymore. I have no idea if that's going to happen or not. But anyways, Amazon changing some of that as well. Just trying to look through the list here. I didn't have a chance to go through it this morning. There's a lot of information in here that's really not that big. But here's a big one. How many of you are Willie Nelson fans? Well, he's still going. Willie is still going, and he's going to join Neil Young and John Mellencamp. They will all headline Farm Aid's 40th Anniversary Music Festival on September the 20th. Willie's been doing this forever, and this will benefit U.S. farmers, being held at Huntington Bank Stadium. That's located on the University of Minnesota campus. Dave Matthews and Kenny Chesney also joining the party. Boy, that is going to be pretty cool there. Willie Nelson still it seems like Willie Nelson makes the news, and you'll hear some headline of like, well, he's not doing too good, and you think that that's it. And then you read something like this, that he's going to headline a Farm Aid again. The guy's still going. Some oil news for you. Kyle, some oil news for you. Oil giant ConocoPhillips announced that it's going to lay off 25% of their 13,000-person global workforce. You don't hear of that too much in the oil industry. Again, ConocoPhillips laying off 25% of their workforce, which is kind of crazy. You don't ever hear of that too much at all. I'm just looking through a couple of last things before we sign off today. I appreciate all of you guys hanging out with us. I've got a couple of weird news stories for you. Here's a do-it-yourself water park, but it happened in the wrong yard. Some neighbors borrow sugar, some borrow tools, and then there's this guy. A family returned from vacation to find their backyard transformed into a construction site after their neighbor decided, without permission, to dig a creek straight through their property. Apparently, the neighbor had pitched the idea before and was told no, but decided that no meant wait until they leave town. The impromptu waterway didn't just redirect water, it also damaged the fence between the two properties. The neighbor, unfazed, reportedly told the homeowners he would fix it and pay for it because nothing says, sorry, I vandalized your yard, like a casual promise to Venmo you later. It's one thing to argue over paint colors, uncut lawns, or the dreaded HOA-approved mulch. It's another to come home and realize your neighbor went full civil engineer on your property Well, at least they don't have to water the grass anymore because they've got waterfront property. That from cheeseburger.com. I thought that was kind of a crazy story there as well. And then one final thing that I want to leave you with, and we've got an event that I want to mention before we go. Canadians, right now, they're hunting $1 million in gold in a nationwide riddle contest. This may be your reason to go to Canada. A thrilling treasure hunt has kicked off across Canada. Organizers have hid $1 million worth of gold coins in publicly accessible locations for savvy puzzle solvers to discover. The challenge, known as the Great Canadian Treasure Hunt, is run by the Northern Miner and features a grand prize of 217 one-ounce gold coins plus 12 monthly bonus caches valued at $25,000 each. Participants must decode a 52-line poetic riddle designed to highlight clues embedded in Canadian landscapes like the Shield, birch forests, or rivers, but beware of red herrings and the international typos. This hunt launched mid-August of last month and runs through December of 2026. So it will give Canadians ample time to interpret monthly clues and search with both wit and care. Organizers stress safety and fairness. Only one person holds the location of the treasures, and they are not on private land, underwater, or in dangerous areas, nor requiring special equipment. Beyond the lure of buried gold, the event aims to foster appreciation for Canada's mining heritage and the role of minerals in powering modern life. That from mining.com. I'd like to do some sort of a cool scavenger hunt here in Huntsville and hide some stuff. I think that'd be fun. I want to do something like that on this show where we hide some stuff and we start giving clues to people. I think that would be really, really fun. And maybe stir up a little more viewership. We got a lot of folks that watch, but that would be pretty cool. So, anyways, I thought that would be pretty neat. So, anyways, before we wrap it up today, Kyle says this: for me, I'm usually late because I started contemplating my life choices that put me in this position. Oh, that's good, Kyle. Appreciate you, man. And Phyllis, by the way, she said she likes Willie's music. So appreciate you, Phyllis Dillard. Got a comment in a little bit earlier. I want to leave you with this. A very important thing. Our friend Tara Burnett, we just really appreciate her very much. She said, free Veterans Breakfast tomorrow at 9 a.m. This is the monthly Veterans Breakfast at Hart's Veterans Museum. She said, please join us every month. They have a sponsor, Cowboy Contractor, sponsoring, and Rodeo Mexican Restaurant will be providing awesome breakfast tacos. So if you are a veteran here in Walker County, please go to the Hart's Veterans Museum tomorrow morning. It's always packed. It's always a lot of fun, and it's great fellowship for veterans. Again, 9 a.m. tomorrow for the Hart's Veterans Museum of Texas, their monthly free veterans breakfast tomorrow. So thank you for that update, Tara. We appreciate you very, very much. Well, friends, that'll pretty much do it here. It's been fun. I can't believe I've been on an hour by myself this morning, just rambling on. But thank you all for coming and hanging out. It's been a great week. We've had a lot of wonderful guests on the show. I got to take a little bit of a break on Tuesday with a day off, but we appreciate everybody so very much. Of course, want to remind you, too, Lasso Your Imagination, great event happening from Tomorrow's Promise later this month. So make sure that you get tickets and come to that. We had Jackie Barham on the show yesterday from the Care Center Huntsville. She was talking about their annual banquet and a lot happening here in Huntsville. I did want to also tell you, if you've been to our website, it has not been updated recently. That is not by mistake. That is planned. We are programming a new website. It's going to be very similar. It's going to look almost identical, but we are programming a new website from scratch on the back end that's going to allow us to do a lot more. We've had some complaints about just the speed, the usability. Many folks like to submit calendar events, and those have been having issues. And so we are moving away from the WordPress platform and are using the power of AI to program an entire new website. The hiccup has been trying to migrate over 700 articles that we already have and not losing that information, because right now, if you search for things in Huntsville, our website usually is within the top 5 results. We don't want to lose that. That is a hallmark of a staple of what we do to help local businesses here on Hello Huntsville. Well, friends, that'll wrap it up. We'll be back at it Monday, bright and early, 7:30 in the morning. We're going to cheer on the Hornets as they're playing football this weekend. New Waverly, I'll be heading out. Join us on Spirit Radio. For those of you that want to listen to the game, I'll be on Spirit Radio calling the New Waverly versus Orangefield Bobcats game. That'll be on tonight, 7 o'clock. We'll go pregame 6:30, so make sure to tune into that. It'll be a lot of fun. Cheer on the Bearcats. They're going to be in Honolulu. They're in Honolulu. They'll be playing Hawaii. That kickoff gets underway tomorrow night at 10 a.m., and then, of course, we will be back here on the show. It's already going to be September the 8th, if you can believe that. We'll be back at it at 7:30. Well, as I end every show reminding you this morning, we're not strong enough alone to make it on our own. We need each other. So please provide a word of encouragement, lend a hand of support. I promise somebody out there needs you. Until then, good morning, Huntsville, and God bless. We'll catch you on the other side. Have a great day, everybody.